And tonight I also want to give thanks to my kindergarten teacher, Mrs. Ulrich, because she is the one who first introduced me to the concept of public service. I still remember in my kindergarten class when she asked our class if anyone wanted to volunteer to be the representative to the student council. She said that representatives, they listen to people's concerns and they help them. And my hand shot up immediately. And it's not just a sweet way to think about a representative, it actually planted in me the seeds for a lifelong passion of public service. Many of you know I went to school for public policy. Immediately after graduation, I joined the Foreign Service, and I served and represented our country in Indonesia, Vietnam, Rome, and about 30 blocks down the street at the United Nations. And then I left the Foreign Service in the hopes of finding a more direct way to have an impact, and I became a New York City public school teacher. And over the course of my time in the classroom, I calculated I taught almost 500 students. And many of you have already heard me talk many times about the impact that those incredible students had on my life. You've heard me talk about my student Virginia. She used a wheelchair, and she had to travel from her home in Brooklyn to our school in Washington Heights every single day because our school had an elevator and our nearby subway station had an elevator, and that was a combination that was hard to find in New York City. You've probably heard me talk about George. His family was experiencing homelessness, and there were weeks sometimes that I didn't see him in my classroom, and I didn't know if his family or if he was okay. And you've definitely heard me talk about the hundreds of students that I had with special needs who are currently being failed by our school system because the state still owes the city billions of federally mandated dollars, and no one is holding them accountable. It was my students and their incredible stories that really motivated me to try to get involved in local politics. And for the past 8 years, I've spent all of my time outside of work doing what I can for the community, whether it be on the community board or the Lexington Democratic Club. And during the day, I've been working as the senior director of a national nonprofit, a senior director of strategy of a national nonprofit, where my job is to evaluate how we can make the most impact with the resources we have. And I think that that could be a really valuable skill to bring to City Hall. So I was thinking a lot about my kindergarten teacher, Mrs. Ulrich, and what she had to say about representing one's constituents when Reed and I were talking to our 4-year-old son, Lavari. We were telling him about this event and that he could come, and we sat down and told him that I was running for city council. And he had 2 reactions. So the first reaction he had was, running? Running is one of my favorite activities. And then he said, but Mommy, what are you running from? And I had to think about that because I think sometimes in politics it's really convenient to be able to just talk about the problems. And believe me, there are a lot of problems, but I really love this city. I really love it. I fell in love with it when I first came to New York City 20 years ago, and I love it even more now that Reed and I are raising a family here. And so I decided I'm not running from anything, I'm running toward a brighter future for our city and our community. I'm running toward a city that has 3K and pre-K seats for all, so that you don't have to spend yourself on a wait list, not knowing where you're gonna go to school. Yeah. I'm running toward a community that has sidewalks and curb cuts that are accessible for people in wheelchairs or scooters or pushing strollers or carts. I'm running toward a community where seniors can age in place, in vibrant neighborhoods that are responsive to their needs. I'm running toward a city where my synagogue doesn't have to hire extra security guards to ensure that it's not defaced again, because anti-Semitism or any form of hate is completely unfathomable. And I'm running toward a city where our streets and our sidewalks are so pristinely clean that no dog walker would ever dare not pick up their dog.